dose of substance. Let us hit you with a dose of substance.
So during the time when I went home, Kennedy, so leading back to the blame game, a doctor called me and said, hey, I think you should question this more. You know, I think it was just negligence on the medical team and yada, yada, yada. I said, doctor, let me tell you something. It's best you don't tell me to do that. Because you see, if I should follow my heart, the law doesn't have nothing to do with what I want to do. You hear me? But because I raised my child with so much love, I chose to.
Welcome to Dose of Substance, the podcast for mature minds, self-aware, and bold spirits. Some of the comments may be too hot to handle, so if you can't take it all in at once, take it in doses. Or not bother listen to nothing. Sponsored by Mind Steeds Collections and the Substance Music Group.
I chose love. Because if I was to do anything else, would I disappoint my baby girl? And for the whole 12 years that I've known my child for, I am that man in her eyes. But my daughter never hear me cuss one bad word. Not once. I try to do everything in line for her, not pretend, but to give her even quarter of what I desired as a child. That was my aim. So the thing what hold me from killing myself, Katie, is because someone looked at me and said, you're a child. That's the only thing that kept me. Because for 11 years, she's all I lived for. No, if you lose the purpose of life, you're actually dead. I felt dead. So numb and dead, that was my state of mind. I was dead. Nothing mattered. And it took me years for anything to matter. Years.
When I was in my lowest of lows, I'm just gonna, people from my job might hear this, but that was years ago, so don't use it against me now. But when me and Kaden's dad decided to go our separate ways, it stemmed from me wanting to process this whole thing how I wanted to process it.
Right.
I didn't want anybody to tell me how to feel.
Right.
I didn't want therapy. I tried therapy, and all this lady gave me was, oh, that's a part of the grieving process. I was like, all right, you out.
That's one of my questions.
When I moved from Atlanta to come back to Florida, I decided to go way south. My family, I love you. I appreciate you. But I wanted to be by myself. I wanted, when I felt like being angry, to be angry without people telling me that's not healthy.
Right.
I wanted, when I feel like punching walls, I could punch walls without anybody telling me you might need to see someone. I wanted to process it the way I wanted to.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, red wine was my go-to.
Yeah.
And even now, just a whiff of it takes me back memories.
Yeah.
But red wine was my go-to after work. If you called me, you didn't get me back then, I was under the influence. But I was always home. I wasn't out driving or anything. I was always home. And I didn't share this with a lot of people because I don't want nobody thinking I'm crazy, because I'm not. But red wine was my go-to. And I remember one night in particular, and this was the last time I did it, because I felt like, you know what? That's just not you.
Yeah.
I remember the last time I did it, I drank a whole bottle of red wine. And I just sat. I just remember throwing the bottle across the room. I remember using the little thing that you put on your table, those little decoration things. I threw that across the room. I remember just walking up to the wall and I punched the shit out of the wall. I still have a scar. I punched the shit out because I just kept punching and punching and punching because I'm like, I was so angry. I was so angry. And the why just wouldn't come.
Yeah.
The why just would not come. And I just kept punching and punching and punching and I broke down. And somebody, I'm assuming it's a neighbor, knocked on the door and I didn't answer. I sat there and I cried. My stepmom was calling me. My sister was calling me. My aunt was calling me. And I ignored every single call. I cannot remember a day when I got that many calls in a moment like that. And I remember I just stopped crying and I'm sitting there and I'm like scrolling through pictures and then I happened to go over to the missed call and I'm like, this is just something. I feel like Caden's watching. And it was him telling these people she needs somebody. Because I swear to you, I've never had that many calls. When I'm having a moment like that, I never had that many calls in one sitting.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? He doesn't want to see me like this. And that's what triggered me to stop. That's really what, like, I didn't consider it like slit my wrist or nothing. For me, it wasn't death.
Right.
It was just going through the emotions because I needed to go through the emotions. Whatever it led me to do, I was willing to do it. Thankfully, It wasn't suicide, but it was just anger, built up anger. Whatever I needed to do to let it out, I was willing to do it. But I was glad I did that in a sense, like being by myself for a couple of months at least, you know, before letting people in. I was glad I was able to go through that process because I feel like if I kept it bottled up inside and acted like nothing was wrong or I wasn't struggling internally, I would have done other things. So for me, it wasn't death. It wasn't suicide. It would have been becoming an alcoholic.
Hey, you had to use something. No, I can say, Katie, I don't think I've had that phase yet. I don't think I've gotten to the point where I don't think my daughter's transition hit me yet. I'm being perfectly honest with you. I think I've somehow tried to ask for it to just hit me and go. But then subconsciously, I'm afraid that if it hits me, there's no coming back from it. So I'm at that place, and I'm at that place where I don't think therapy would have helped me. I got it. Yeah, you need that. Okay, cool. But no one truly knows the depth. No one. And I'm not going to sit down and listen to someone that's getting paid to say the right thing or remedy it this way, or you really don't know. I would have to tell you my whole life story for you to even begin to get it. Not get it enough, but begin to. So I felt like I wouldn't want anyone to try and analyze this for me. No. Am I healed from this? No, I'm not. I couldn't look at my daughter's picture. I have times that I can't look at my daughter's picture. Them, Katie, I cannot. But then I realized that.
Do you feel like you still have a bit of denial? Like you're still, because you know they have like, you know, the quote unquote different phases.
Right.
Do you feel like you're still in that process where you know it happened?
Right.
You know it's real.
Right.
And yes, you can still, you know, mourn and grieve. That is fine. But do you think you're still kind of have a little bit of denial going on?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. Yes. Okay. Consciously. Like, a part of me just don't know how to go on without my daughter. Mm-hmm. I'm trying. And it's funny that you mentioned you know, how you have your twins and you don't know how to you didn't know for I don't even want to get this, but yeah, I know all about it. And then the worst part is that you can be surrounded by people that are so insensitive, so ignorant to experiences like these, not knowing how much their words can, you know.
I think now would be a good time to touch on that part of the conversation, because you do get those people, and it's kind of sad because you know they mean well, but they don't.
Yeah.
And it taught me too. It really was a lesson for me too when reaching out to other people in similar or other circumstances. Because, you know, do you mind me asking what happened? Do you know how traumatizing that is for me to have to explain to you?
Right.
I picked up my lifeless child is all I can remember.
Right.
How can you fathom picking up your lifeless child, your lifeless mother, your lifeless father, somebody that's close to you? Can you fathom that?
Right.
Because if you can't fathom that, what I'm about to
what am I going to explain to you?
It's going to go over your head. So a lot of the times, and it's not to sound ungrateful, but a lot of the times when people would DM me and would ask me those questions, you know, my go-to is thank you, prayer hands, or if they ask, do you mind me what happened, I would respectfully tell them now is not a good time. Or depending on who it is, I would actually tell them what happened. Not too much details, because there's but so much that you can say in writing.
You have to relive that for you to even, you know, I don't think people get that.
Very triggering, and it's very traumatizing. Fast forward to today, if someone was to ask me, do you mind me asking what happened? My question to their question is, why do you want to know?
Right.
Because if you just want to know just to know,
don't put me through that for nothing, right? Don't put me through that just to know.
So people can be very insensitive, and then you have those people who ask questions just to have an answer.
Right.
That's why when I heard about your situation, my first thing to you was, I know you're probably similar to your thing to me. I know you're probably bombarded. I don't have questions because I understand, but if you need to talk, and this went for a lot of people who went through something similar, I would personally reach out to them and be like, if you want just to talk and have someone listen, I will listen. If you want to write me a whole paragraph just to let it out, because I would do that, but I would do it in my notes because that worked for me.
Yeah.
I'm just here to listen. I heard the story. Not that I don't care for the details, but I don't want to put you through that trauma of explaining to me what happened. I heard what happened. That's all I needed to know. I know you're not in a good place. I'm here if you need me. And I won't reach back out to you to check up on you, you. Again, on the receiving end, it was kind of like, do I say I'm okay when I'm not, just to stop them from checking up on me? Or, so, you know, it just comes with trying to put yourself in that person's situation, but not really being in the situation, but try to just have a little. Yeah.
That's it. That's really it.
It was rough when people would just DM like, okay, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
And I think that should be enough where I'm not good to theirs. But some people, and again, it's not to sound ungrateful. It's just, you have to give people space. You want to show you care. You want to show your support. But, hey, just know I'm sending you positive vibes.
That's it.
All we need.
That's it. And one of the things that I don't know if you got this, because I think I said something similar to you, but not so much like this. When people look at me during that time and say, hey, you're strong, that was such a turn off for me. Katie, that was like, shut up. I'm not strong. I don't want to hear it, Katie. Because they don't know, because the face is showing one thing, they don't know what's going on inside the mind and the heart. Katie, I died on December 5th. I died.
I'm telling you, my physical being is left up there.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, in that room.
Mm-hmm. Kelly, I look at my pictures now.
Just my spirit just floating. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who I was. I was in so much hurt, pain, denial, but the fuck moments. Like even at his funeral, while I was giving my piece, I was smiling, and I couldn't explain why I was smiling.
Me too.
Hit me when they had a closed casket at the graveside. And when they were not able to open it up so I could see my child
one more time. Yeah.
When I was leaving the church, and I knew that was gonna be my last physical moment with him. Yeah. That's when it really, really hit. Because even when I was giving my speech, I remember me and his dad were talking about a couple nights before. He was at his computer because he was doing video editing, and I was on the couch watching TV. And this little boy was just running back and forth between the two of you. I love you, Daddy. Gave him a kiss. I love you, Mommy. Gave me a kiss. I love you, Daddy. Gave him a kiss, just back and forth the whole time. And we're like,
that was the night before?
No, this was like a couple nights before.
Oh.
I'm telling you, that little boy's an angel.
Kitty.
It's
Kitty,
like
that's the same thing I say about.
And I don't know if when you lose someone, things just make sense leading up to their passing, their transitioning.
Right. But you see it different.
Things you look at it different, and that is why me getting attached to anybody, it's kind of weird for me, because when I see certain things, I'm like,
yeah.
Pattern. Like, is this a pattern for me? Is this gonna something? You know what I mean? So even this year, for example, and it might sound crazy. It might sound
crazy. Go ahead.
Even this year, when I wrote my New Year's resolution, I was like, this year I'm gonna show up for the people that I care about, and I'm gonna show up and show out and show my support and stop coming up with excuses. And you tell me you're celebrating something, I'm gonna be there for you. I'm physically gonna be there for you. And so far, so good. I have a good track record. I went to Jaffe's bachelorette. I went to her wedding. We had a spontaneous trip with another group of my friends. Then I did another bachelorette last weekend. So like, I'm showing up. Yeah. But as I'm like taking pictures and I'm looking at pictures through these different events and stuff, even for me, I'm looking at it like, dang, is my time's coming up, where I'm giving all these different audiences a piece of me, a piece of memory.
Yeah.
Because of what happened with Caden, it's kind of like the sequence was, you know, from that moment to the night before I was talking with my family, everybody was there. And like, you know, everything just led up to it. So now on the receiving it, you're like, you see what
I get what you're saying.
Because you're in a mindset where
Katie,
you calculate everything.
I get you 100%. You don't have to explain it. It's like you don't know how to explain it. It's like you're living, but you're hoping that the person that you're sharing this moment with does not have to feel what you felt.
Exactly.
And that can make you not be too attached to people just to try to protect them. They may think you're not letting go, but it's really me saying I don't want you to go through that heartbreak.
Yeah. It is so true.
I'm having this conversation with you.
I'm telling you, when I saw you posted that your last podcast about suicide, I was like, we need to have a conversation.
Yeah. And that's when you reached out to me.
I was like, we need to have a conversation, because this whole topic of child loss, it has so many different pieces of everything included, because it's not really child loss, it's just loss altogether.
Right.
Someone, I think the closest person you could lose is somebody that you brought into this world. Not your mom, not your dad, not your grandparents, not your siblings. Right. It's somebody you brought into this world. So I feel like just this loss in particular, it's a different experience from anybody who lost another kind of loved one. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I saw that you posted that, I was like, We need to have a conversation.
Yeah. And I like that you reached out because I knew I wanted this, because I honestly think if you don't go through this, you're only listening for listening purpose, you know? It's sad, but you would definitely have to experience loss of this magnitude for you to even, because now I'm listening to you talking and I'm just nodding because I know exactly. It's just a different voice saying the same thing.
And now you feel like it's okay.
Right, because you understand, Katie. You know how many people I talk to, them don't understand it. It just feels like I just wasted a whole conversation. Like, I get that you feel emotional about it. I don't need sympathy. Empathy is way more important. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people, and then the flip side, people expect that, hey, that happened 3 years ago. Why are you still sobbing?
So for me, when it comes to that, it's not to throw it in people's face or here's a reminder, or sometimes I feel like people don't know how to feel about me.
Yeah, me too.
When it comes to social media, because I don't like clothes and stuff like that. And so sometimes when I really like think about it, I'm like, dang, I just posted like a weird post, a quote or something. Like, dang, I just posted like a half naked picture, and then a day later I'm posting my son. Like, what is going on through your brain? Ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what's going on through my brain. I am a human being.
Right.
It comes with growth. It was a part of my growth. Like 1 minute, and it's literally how my brain works. 1 minute I'm up here, kiki, cuckoo. And literally the next second, something triggers me, and
but it's called
get into that mind frame of like, this is a down moment. This is my go-to.
Yeah,
he's my go-to in every single down moment. He's my go-to.
Me too. I smile.
People are like, oh, you know, it's been 5 years. You know, sometimes when I post him for his birthday, for his memorial, for stuff like that, you know, I'm pretty sure some people are like, you know, but the majority of people, the feedback.
Yeah. There, right.
Yeah, but I know there's like a couple people who are like,
get over it.
You know, it's time.
Yeah.
But then the majority of people, and this is why, like, he's my constant, because when I put out a picture or post a picture or whatever, people are still like, I can't believe this boy, you know, is no longer with us. I can't believe it. To this day. But so, you have your naysayers.
When you said that, let me just use this opportunity to point out, I was here, and right before I sent that shirt to you, the day when I sent it to you, I'm going to Jamaica the next day. Right? And then I gifted James Thomas, my brother. You know man, James type.
Mm-hmm.
I gifted James a short set with his father. And before the trip, because I'm a total different person, okay? I know, and I've accepted it. No, you know, even my own friends, them, I know this. They don't know how to. I don't think my friends know how to deal with me anymore. Like, they love me, and I mean, I think they're loving me to the max capacity, but I think they know that they've lost a certain person within me, and I can't blame them because I've lost it. I can look at my photos now, Katie, and I look in my eyes and I realize the light is not as bright.
Stop. About, I want to say a year ago, when it was getting close, because August, September for me is always weird. His birthday is August 3rd. He passed away on September 1st, and then my birthday is September 11th.
Yeah.
So last year I was at work, and it was starting to get closer to August or whatever, and this man came into my office, and he was like talking, and I'm there talking, and he goes, "You have sad eyes." I was like, "Wait, come again?" He was like, "You have sad eyes." I was like, maybe my eyes are just low because I got some lashes on, but
yeah.
He's like, "No." you have sad eyes. He was like, what happened?
Right.
I'm like, who sent you?
Right.
Who are you?
Right. Happens to me
I
too.
was so caught off guard. I broke down.
Yeah.
I'm like, how could you tell?
Right.
And he was like, something happened. He was like, I'd never told anybody. And then I closed my office door. I was like, why did you ask? Like, be straight up, why did you ask? He was like, I don't know. It's your spirit, your vibe. Like,
yeah.
You're going through something, but you're not being honest with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, that makes sense because my son's birthday is coming up. He's no longer with me, but here I am at work trying to put on a face.
Yeah.
And he was like, I could tell. And he just kept talking and he shared his story with me. And I was like, who sent you?
Right. Right.
His story was crazy, but it was just another reminder, like, you never know who's watching. You have people who do see right through you.
Yep.
And you have people who will accept that. And if your friends are like your real good friends, like you said, they will love you through it.
Yeah. They have. They have. You know, if it wasn't for them, Katie, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for my brothers, if it wasn't for them. Yeah. I've never seen my friends cried, bawled for me. Like, I've never seen my friends like that. Like, I'm here like, yeah, bro, like, I don't know, but they're on the other line weeping because they know what 𝘴𝘶𝘪𝑒 did for me. They know. My friends, like, them bawl. But I didn't feel my partial hit until I left Jamaica after I buried my child, because I had to be there for her mother. I have to be there for my friends. You know, it's like I have to put on a show to let people around me not worry about me. But when I left Jamaica and I returned to America and I returned to my apartment when there's nobody here, I broke down. My head was killing me. I felt like everything was just shouting. The chair was shouting. Everything was just shouting. I felt like I was losing my mind. And that's when I had to open my computer and go on Facebook and type in something, and I went live. That's when I started a program called Healing and Reasoning.
I remember that, yeah.
That was what saved me mentally. People don't know that because they think I was just going live streaming. That was what saved me mentally.
Mentally, I was writing a lot. My notes were my best friend. Mm-hmm. I was going to his graveside every week, every Saturday, until my grandmother told me, you need to stop.
Yeah.
I love you.
Let's hear it.
Stop.
What was the reason? Did she give you a reason why you need to stop?
I'm going to drive myself crazy. Was her only reason. Yeah. I used to go with my phone. I would sit there, and as I'm typing, it's like I was talking. So that was my thing, on top of the drinking, on top of the anger. But I think for me, I'm glad I was able, listening to your story, I'm glad I was able to go through that part first. Being by myself and processing it by myself. I was glad I was able to do that part first, because I feel like everybody who goes through something like this, they need that. Right. They need to be alone. They need to process it alone. For some people, it might be healthy. Some people might be unhealthy as fuck. But I think you need that. You need that time alone, away from opinions, away from people, away from who's going to judge you, away from all of that, just to be by yourself. And if you have to just let it out, however you feel like letting it out, just let it out. And that's like one of the advice I give to people. Like, I can't tell you how to feel. I can't tell you when it's going to hit you. I can't tell you what to do when it hits you. But just know that when it does, go through it.
Katie, I don't know how to let it out. And that's my issue.
How to let it out.
Yeah. I don't know.
You're not sure what works until you feel like doing something and you go through with it. As long as it's not killing yourself.
Right. I did skydiving. I did that too. I'm afraid of heights. Bad. Okay, I did skydiving.
Let me go to this question then.
Go ahead.
Do you now fear dying?
No.
Because, and I say no too, because I feel like everything that I was scared would kill me. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Skydiving was one of them.
Katie, I've never believed in tattoos. And I got my daughter's tattoo on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
Katie, I sat down there for 5 hours and I did not feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the youth that was doing the tattoo, shout out to 𝘮𝘪𝘴, right? Very good tattoo artist. He did my tattoo and I was sitting there and like 4.5 hours in, he's like, yo, you don't want to take a break, bro? I was like, nah, bro, finish it. He's like, what happened? I said, that's my daughter, bro. How we knew something happened was when I put her birthday, which is 14th of October 2008, to infinity.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he said, I knew it. He tell me, say, feel it. I do it. He's like, he's never done a tattoo and someone sit down through the whole session. I wanted to feel something, Katie. I could not feel anything. And it was still not enough.
What was it? It was the November after Kaden passed. My aunt, she was on her 50th birthday. I think it was her 50th. And she was like, I want to skydive. I was like, let's do it. When they said it was time to jump, I was like, okay. Let's do it.
Nothing scares me anymore.
Life, let's do it.
Yeah. Because that's literally what you do, you know.
Literally, you signed away your life. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yes, do it. Yeah.
Having the girls, I had to do a scheduled C-section.
Yeah.
And oh boy, I had to do a scheduled C-section and did what they had to do. But when it was time to like close me up, they couldn't, because I guess something needed to respond somewhere down there and it wasn't happening, and they couldn't stitch you up until, otherwise they would have to do like a hysterectomy right then and there.
Right.
So I'm listening to the doctors on the other side of the screen having this conversation and panicking. Oh, we need to order blood. We need to do an IV. We need to do this, that. And then this nurse over here is trying to calm me down. They rushed Dad and the 2 babies out of the room, and I was just laying there and I'm freaking out, and I'm like, what do you mean you need 2 pints of blood? And she was like, you need to calm down. Your blood pressure is getting elevated, because I'm panicking.
Right.
Because I'm like, and then I lay there. I was like thinking, I was at my mom's outside. My dad's on his way. The kids have their dad.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Kaden, here I come. And literally after that thought process, everything went back to normal.
Heaven, it seems you needed your child, but if it's just for one more time that I could see you smile. These days they're not the same.
Hi, Kaden.
I'm reaching for you, but you're not there. I see
Lord,
you
I pray. Chat with me, dear one, Music mission. As always, now the target, now the